Welcome to the Global Conference for the South Fundy and Central New Brunswick Cluster. Thank you to everyone who's joining us here in person as well as virtually. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Wolastoqiyik and Maliseet peoples. We pay respect to the elders past and present and descendants of this land, and express our appreciation for their hospitality, for the manner in which they care for the land, and for the opportunity we have to create a unified community that is centered around the oneness of humanity. National Indigenous History Month is commemorated during this month, and we encourage you to take the time to learn more about Indigenous history, experiences, languages, and cultures. Thousands of global conferences are being held around the world, with over just 80 here in Canada. The purpose of these global conferences is to explore how to build vibrant communities that foster the oneness of humanity and to provide a forum to develop and enhance our vision to work for the betterment of the world. The main theme of today's conference is building vibrant communities, Baha'u'llah's vision for humanity, which we'll hear about more later on. A huge thank you to the members of the organizing committee who have worked hard in planning this conference and designed the program for today, as well as our facilitators who have prepared and volunteered their time to assist with our breakout session. And of course, the St. John Arts Center for allowing us the opportunity to gather here today. Thank you all. Before we begin, we learned some unfortunate news this morning. Randy Allaby, husband of Fern Allaby, a devoted member of the St. John community, passed away this morning. We'd like to dedicate this program and this conference today for him. We'll begin with a selection of prayers at this time, and I'll ask for all our volunteers to approach the podium. You can also remove your mask before you recite your prayer. Thank you.
Ô Dieu, mon Dieu, aide tes serviteurs fidèles à posséder un cœur aimant et tendre. Aide-les à diffuser parmi toutes les nations de la terre la lumière directrice qui émane de l'Assemblée céleste. En vérité, tu es le fort, le puissant, le conquérant, l'éternel bienfaiteur. En vérité, tu es le généreux, le doux, le tendre, le bienfaisant. Abdul Baha.
This is the day whereon the ocean of God's mercy hath been manifested unto men, the day in which the daystar of his loving kindness hath shed its radiance upon them, the day in which the clouds of his bountiful favor have overshadowed the whole of mankind. Now is the time to cheer and refresh the downcast through the invigorating breeze of love and fellowship and the living waters of friendliness and charity.
Hi, everybody. So Liam and I are going to perform a song for you guys, and then we would love to teach it to you after that. But we'll sing it through a couple times, and then we can try it all together. I can hear it. Let this gathering be a foreshadowing of what will in very truth take place in this world when every child of God realizes that they are the leaves of one tree, flowers in one garden, the sons and daughters of one Father, whose name is love, whose name is love. whose name is love, whose name is love. Let this gathering be a foreshadowing of what will in very truth take place in this world when every child of God realizes that they are the leaves of one tree, flowers in one garden, the sons and daughters of one Father, whose name is love, whose name is love, whose name is love, whose name is love. Oh, you guys caught on. Should we do it again? Let this gathering be a foreshadowing of what will in very truth take place in this world when every child of God realizes that they are the leaves of one tree, flowers in one garden, sons and daughters of one Father, whose name is love, whose name is love, whose name is love, whose name is love. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. And thanks to your volunteers for the prayers as well. As an overview of today's program, once the morning plenary session has concluded, we'll move into our breakout session and gather in our groups at 11:30 a.m., although that might be a little bit later now. But lunch will follow beginning at 1, and the afternoon plenary session will begin at 2:30 and will conclude roughly around 4 p.m. This next section of the program will focus on storytelling. I'm going to hand it over to Judah.
One of the advantages of speaking is you get to take your mask off for a little while. I said one of the advantages of speaking is you get to take your mask off for a little while. So if anyone wants to take your mask off, 10-minute speech is all it takes. It's all yours. But the other thing I wanted to start with is not planned, but I think I should mention that Liam and Jasmine are my son and daughter-in-law. That was pretty awesome. Thank you, guys. So originally, this presentation was going to be done by one of our auxiliary board members in the region, Alana Vreeland or Merit Ozainam. And Alana's actually at a conference just like this in PEI today, so we knew she wasn't going to be here, but we did think Mert was going to be here. Unfortunately, he's not feeling well today, and just yesterday I got asked to step in, so you have to bear with me for a little while. But the good news is that Alana did share her presentation that she's giving in PEI with me. So I'm pretty much going to steal her work. So if you like it, you can thank Alana, and if you don't, well, don't tell her. But also we want to wish Mert a speedy recovery, so if anyone is speaking to him in the next few days, just wish him well. So Alana suggested that I start by giving everybody kind of an overview of the big picture, essentially the vision that set us on our path of trying to learn about building vibrant communities, which of course is the main reason we're all here today and the theme of our conference. Baha'u'llah's vision is that it is possible for us to build a better world where there's justice, where there's peace, equality, and prosperity for all. And that we all must all work together in order to build this world. It's not just going to happen on its own. It's not just some kind of miracle that will occur that, oh, now it's time for peace, and it's just going to happen while we all say prayers, which is wonderful, and hope for it, but we actually have to work towards it. That's kind of the message that we're getting. So if we want to make this better world, the first step is to believe that we can. To have a conviction that it is possible. And we know that there are some people that don't have that hope or that feeling. So having that conviction, that belief, that is important. That is the first step, but it is not enough. It's not enough to just believe. It's not enough to just have that conviction, as vital as it is. We also have to want this so much that we are willing to work hard to make it happen. However, individuals like us working hard is also not enough. The work of building a better world belongs to everyone, and it will not come about by the efforts of a small few number of people working in isolation. We need everyone's participation, everyone's capacities together. All the peoples of the world need to learn how to do that and how to work alongside one another. Because this is a big job, we all have to work at it together if we want to make it happen. However, even working together in that way, as wonderful and as important as that is also not enough. Baha'u'llah's vision is that we as human beings cannot transform ourselves or our society by ourselves. We also need to turn to a higher power outside of ourselves for assistance. We might call this higher power God, Allah, Jehovah, the Creator, or maybe we just refer to it as a higher power. But the reality is that there's something greater than ourselves that we need to learn to tap into to assist us in this incredibly challenging task before us. When we look at the teachings of all the great religions, free from restrictions of dogmatic beliefs and blind imitation, we come to realize that they rest on the same foundation. There are, of course, differences among them based on social laws and regulations that are slightly different from one religion to the next, according to requirements of time and place, but in their essence, all religions are one. Baha'u'llah says, the religion of God is for love and unity. The religion of God is for love and unity. So, there will not be a test on this later, unless, maybe there will be, but just to recap quickly, first of all, we need to believe we can build a better world together. We have to be willing to work for it, and we have to work with people of all sorts of backgrounds, all the diversity of humanity, not just people that think like ourselves or talk like ourselves or look like ourselves. And finally, we have to turn to our Creator for assistance to make it happen. Essentially, according to Alana, this is the vision. I think she's onto something. So people who have been inspired by this vision of Baha'u'llah understand that if we want to transform the world, it will have to work on at least two important things. First of all, we have to commit to pursuing our own spiritual intellectual growth, each individual. But we also have to look at transforming our communities and helping our communities reshape themselves. This means being committed to changing ourselves as well as serving others. Right? The fundamental role of service in moving our communities forward. These two processes are inseparable because behaviors of individuals shape the environment, and the individuals within that environment are, of course, shaped by the society around them. If we can learn to transform our own neighborhood into a vibrant community, that learning can be taken elsewhere and reproduced until ultimately the whole of society is transformed. I just said that like a very simple thing, just one sentence. But we know, it's not a small thing. This is a huge task. And sometimes we can feel overwhelmed by such a huge task. So today, one of the things we're trying to encourage people to think about, and for us all to develop a deeper understanding about, is where do we start on that huge task that I just described. The idea here is that we want to start just with a small circle of our friends, people that we're close with in our neighborhoods, in our communities, and gradually make that circle an inviting environment to bring more and more people into that circle, to expand that circle. Ultimately, again, big picture, to include everybody in our neighborhood, everyone in our community who's interested in working alongside of us, so that nobody feels excluded. So people who have embraced the vision of Baha'u'llah, this vision of Baha'u'llah, some of them call themselves Baha'i, some of them don't. It's not really a big issue. But these individuals that have captured this vision that I've tried to describe and have started working together are learning to put in place some basic elements to improve the conditions in their neighborhoods and their communities. These efforts, we have some language that we sometimes use. You might hear it today in some of the small breakout groups. We talk about core activities or community building activities. And I'm just going to briefly summarize these in case they're new to some people. Sometimes people tend to work together in their neighborhoods working with young children, what we call children's classes, to help these youngsters develop their spiritual qualities like kindness, generosity, truthfulness, and trustworthiness. And of course, this is so important because these children are the most precious treasure any community possesses. And in them is the promise and guarantee of the future. Second type of activity that some people are involved in involves a slightly older age group, what we sometimes refer to as junior youth, around the ages 11 to 14. There'll be a little group of them here somewhere in this building later today as well. And so some young people, or sometimes even older people, will work with these junior youth to help them develop their inherent potentialities and contribute to making their communities a better place. So we call these junior youth groups. Older folks, youth and adults of all ages, sometimes are involved with what are called study circles, where they get together in these usually pretty intimate groups to gain capacity for service, and that leads to individual and, again, social transformation. And finally, something that many people have participated in, probably most, if not all the people in this room, I'm guessing, are what we refer to sometimes as devotional gatherings. Gatherings where groups of families and neighbors come together to pray and commune with their Creator, but also to discuss the current needs of their neighborhoods and communities. All of these activities have a central theme that runs through them, which is the goal of raising everyone's capacity to contribute to the transformation, again, of their own lives and their communities. So these community building activities that I described, and they're pretty simple if you've ever participated in any of them or heard about them. They're not complicated. But they are more than just simple social projects carried out by a small group of selfless individuals. We believe that they are founded on the understanding that humanity is living at a very special time in history. Humanity is on the verge of its maturity. We often use that phrase. And because of this critical time, and you don't have to look too far out in the world to realize that we're at a pretty critical time in the history of the planet and humanity. So this is a time when really everyone has a role to play. Everyone has to contribute in whatever way, shape, or form they can to building a unified and peaceful world, a global society that is advanced both spiritually and materially. That is why, all around the world, Baha'is with their friends are earnestly striving to learn how to build vibrant communities. Communities that are learning to work together in this way are in a stronger position to navigate and overcome the challenges that our world is facing at this unprecedented time in history. I'm almost done. Baha'u'llah's vision is summed up in this quote: "The purpose for which mortal men have from utter nothingness stepped into the realm of being is that they may work for the betterment of the world and live together in concord and harmony." I think you might have that quote somewhere in your little handout that was given to you. As I mentioned, the work of building a better world belongs to all of us. A better world will not come about by the efforts of a small group of individuals, no matter how good their intentions. The manifold capacities of all the peoples of the world are needed as we come together and learn alongside each other in order to achieve this vision of Baha'u'llah. And that is why all around the world, some this very day, these conferences are being held. Not just here, not just in PEI, every continent, pretty much every country, there are these series of conferences are happening, bringing together people from diverse backgrounds to consult about how they can channel their energies and their desires to promote unity and to serve their fellow citizens in addressing the needs of their societies. So that's basically what Alana would have liked me to share with you, and hopefully it came across okay. What I'm going to do next is actually turn it over. Very naturally, the next step here is to hear from some people within our part of southern New Brunswick that have been working in some of these community building activities or these core activities and have a little bit of learning to share with us. You will note on your, hopefully you got a paper that looks something like this when you came in. On the back, there's also some information. It has 3 concepts or themes. And we asked the people that presented to tie their experiences, the people that will present, sorry, to tie their experiences into these themes. So again, the first theme is the purpose of humanity and creation. The second is raising vibrant communities that are contributing to spiritual and material progress. And the third is what Baha'is and those laboring alongside them are doing. Okay, so those themes, in some cases it might be pretty obvious, the connection to those themes from the stories you're going to hear, and sometimes it might be a little less obvious, but they may come across. And we have a group from St. John that's going to go first, and then I think there will be a group, 2 groups from Fredericton, one working in the Dune Street community, and some folks that have been working with youth for quite a while in the Fredericton area. So I'm going to call up the St. John group first. Thank you.
Oh, good. My turn for a reprieve. What the St. John community has done, especially in consultation since probably just before the pandemic, a couple of us, well, Gordy and I got together and we were consulting, and we had received communication from our National Assembly and the Universal House about increasing our devotional gatherings and doing study circles. And again, that's, something that we'll further discuss again. So in obedience to that request, we kind of came up with a plan, and also the fact that it is much easier to carry something out if we're working together. Just having another person as a backup and somebody to knock ideas off with and so on. And so we started one evening devotional, and it was on Zoom because that was our only platform we could use at the time. And it was we just persisted with it, and it continued to grow and take on a life of its own pretty well. And then we saw that there was a need for a different type of devotional, and there were seekers that were attending that had been invited by others. And so we set up another evening that was really open, an open devotional, which was whatever topic anyone wanted to speak about at that particular time that was where we were going. But we always had a plan in our back pocket. If nothing came up, we had a chapter of Paris Talks on hand. So there was always something to cover us in case we needed it. And then it morphed even further to a third evening. And so now we have one weekly open devotional. We have another one that we are currently studying the Book of Certitude with a different group. And another one Sunday evening where we are now studying The Promised Day Has Come. And so we've set Sunday evenings for more current things that are affecting current affairs and how they apply to today. The Thursday evening is studying the words of Baha'u'llah. And the Wednesday again is open. And we have had a great deal of feedback over this consistent 2-year period where people find this hour. Another thing we've done is limited to an hour. That seems to be all people can handle, and they come back wanting more. The discussions are not quick. As those who are part of our group are well aware, we were sort of teased as a 3-paragraph crew. But they're very deep, and they have brought about a new understanding for all the participants. People feel that they can just for an hour set aside all the current things that can be very stressful and open up and just enjoy each other's company. It has become a very transforming event. And I think the bottom line was obedience, desire to be obedient, working together, and consistency. Thank you.
We invited the kids to do a piece of artwork, and the idea was for them to paint a window into their future. But as is always the case when a group of people come to contribute to something, I think people are going to contribute in whatever way they want to contribute. And I just thought that was really cool because some of the older kids were helping the younger ones. Some of the kids really, contemplated the theme and painted something. Others were just like, let me get in there and make my creative mark. And I kind of think that's how community building is. You can't really define people's contributions for them. But I also thought that it really captured the spirit of protagonism that was there that evening, just with these parents and these junior youth who really came ready to contribute. And I think the kids did too. So I think when we look into the future, it's very exciting. Oh, hold it up higher. So that's all I wanted to say.
All right. Well, my name is Jeff. I live in central New Brunswick as well, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the youth activities that have taken place in our cluster. And I know that it's a summary, and I'm sure there's lots of things that are not here, but that happen. But we're in the spirit of trying to capture a glimpse, right? And also one of the things that we came up with was the idea of the seedling, right? And planting seeds, and how we never know like what's going to happen, right? And you can never really predict how those seeds will grow or when they will grow, or if you know, and what's happening underneath the surface too, underneath the soil, the network of roots and everything. So just kind of keep that in mind as I'm reading. So the story of the youth movement in central New Brunswick has had many layers. In the past several years, many efforts have been made in different communities, and the effect of those efforts can be seen today as the Baha'i community continues to make connections with the youth. When I first arrived in the Fredericton area in 2007, I could see an active Baha'i community at work. There were children's and youth classes taking place on weekends at Nashwaaksis Middle School and later at George Street Middle School. There was a welcoming environment and lots of activity happening. The friends in Douglas were working hard to make strong connections with their neighbors through family fun events and meaningful service projects. There were also stories and endeavors and connections being made in the community of Billichk, which is Kingsclear First Nation. We established a junior youth program there that was active for years, and many seeds were planted in the fertile soil of that community. In the community of Sedansisk, St. Mary's First Nation, we launched a junior youth program with a wondrous arts camp. This program ran for years, and much learning took place. There were many vibrant discussions with youth in the community, and a huge emphasis on service to the elders. The seeds of friendship were sown, and growth is evident in our current interactions with the community. We have learned that community building in First Nations communities is not necessarily linear. It takes time to build these friendships, and it's critical that we continue to learn from the people in these communities. Dune Street, which Jess already alluded to, on the north side of Fredericton has been an area of focus for the Baha'i community for a number of years. Many outreach activities were undertaken, and vibrant programs for children and for junior youth have grown from those efforts. Some of the younger children involved in those activities are now youth who have become engaged in more recent events. This goes to show that the efforts undertaken back in those days were significant. The effects on the human heart are not always apparent, but they are there nonetheless. In the downtown core of Fredericton, outreach efforts by a group of friends resulted in the forming of a junior youth group during the summer of 2018. There were a few local youth that were inspired to take part in this program, and some wonderful friendships were formed and are still going strong. There were art camps and service projects that the youth planned. The seeds that were sown here really did sprout into seedlings and saplings. They have grown through nourishment by the Institute and through meaningful service, deep conversation, and a strong sense of purpose. Youth have been engaged in creative means to develop meaningful discourse and elevated conversations with our friends and contacts. A group of local Baha'i youth and friends began having coffee houses in 2018. We made significant connections during this time, and youth from different communities in our cluster came together. These activities were youth-driven and community-supported. The atmosphere at these events were spirited and exciting. As our cluster began working closely with the friends in PEI, which was the reservoir cluster, where we were learning from them, Central New Brunswick youth and adults began attending youth gatherings and teaching campaigns in that province. This led to a lot of very intense learning. Youth from PEI also came here to New Brunswick to help us plan events. There were significant youth gatherings that took place in Fredericton, Yoho Lake, and Mactaquac. These were really well attended with a diversity of attendees from various communities: PEI, Fredericton, Douglas, Keswick Ridge, St. Mary's, and Kingsclear. COVID arrived, and some of the momentum that we had built lessened. I mean, that's something that happened across the board, really. The community had to adapt to a whole new reality, as did the world at large. As a response to the pandemic, a group of friends in Douglas and Keswick Ridge area began holding outdoor movie nights designed to invite youth and initiate elevated conversations on issues of social justice. We watched a few thought-provoking films and had great attendance and such energetic discussions afterwards. Hopefully, we can bring back these and other initiatives as we move forward. As a community, we have learned much from all that we have experienced. We've developed the capacity to create and nurture a nurturing environment with the Word of God at the center. We have developed the capacity to create friendships that last. These grow incredibly strong through prayer, service, consultation, and elevated discourse. We have learned to bring in the Institute courses and develop our capacities even further. We are a learning community and are endeavoring to build on our experiences. Our little group thought of the analogy of a gardener planting seeds in a beautiful garden. The seeds are lovingly planted through prayer, service, and collective purpose. Some of the seeds may sprout right away and we can see discernible results. Others may take years or decades to pop from the soil. As well, beneath the soil, there is a network of roots that are constantly developing. We can't see these effects, but we know that they are definitely contributing to the overall growth of the garden. The friendships of support that we are developing are like the roots. We trust that God has a purpose for this garden and pray that He will continue to guide us and help us grow. So, to cap off that little summary, we chose prayer that is dedicated to the youth, and there's a lot of the beautiful Baha'i prayers bring in that analogy of the sapling and the seedlings, right? So you'll hear that in this prayer. So I'm going to invite Savannah to come up and recite the prayer for us, and I'm going to play a guitar in the background.
Praise and glory be to thee, O Lord my God. This is a choice sapling which thou hast planted in the meads of thy love and hast nurtured with the fingers of thy lordship. Thou hast watered it from the wellspring of everlasting life, which strengtheneth forth from the gardens of thy oneness, and thou hast caused the clouds of thy tender mercy to shower thy favors upon it. It hath now grown and developed beneath the shelter of thy blessings, which are manifest from the dayspring of thy divine essence. It hath burst forth into leaves and blossoms, is laden with fruit through the providence of the wondrous gifts and bounties, and is stirred by the fragrant breeze wafting from the direction of thy loving kindness. O Lord, cause this sapling to become verdant, fresh, and flourishing by the outpourings of thy special bounty and favor, wherewith thou hast endued the tabernacles of holiness in thy eternal kingdom, and hath adorned the essences of unity in the arena of reunion. O Lord, assist him through thy strengthening grace, which proceedeth from the invisible kingdom. Aid him with such hosts as are hidden from the eyes of thy servants, and grant that he may have a sure footing in thy presence. Unloose his tongue to make mention of thee, and gladden his heart to celebrate thy praise. Illumine his face in thy kingdom, prosper him in the realm above, and graciously confirm him to serve thy cause. Thou art the all-powerful, the all-glorious, the omnipotent. Abdul Baha.
Thank you, everyone. Hi, welcome back. Hope that everyone had a great lunch and great breakout sessions as well. Thank you. So during this afternoon plenary session, we'll hear from representatives of each of the breakout groups on anything that they've learned and would like to share. And there will also be artistic presentations. But first, we're going to begin with a selection of prayers and music, and we'll begin with a prayer by Tallis Monroe.
O God, verily we have gathered here in the fragrance of thy love. We have turned to thy kingdom. We seek not save thee and desire nothing save thy good pleasure. O God, let this food be thy manna from heaven, and grant that this assemblage may be a concourse of thy supreme ones. May they be the quickening cause of love to humanity and the source of illumination to the human race. May they be the instruments of thy guidance upon earth. Verily thou art powerful, thou art the bestower, thou art the forgiver, and thou art the Almighty. Abdul Baha.
Okay, so next we are going to witness two clips. One is going to showcase some local activities, and the other, entitled Widening Embrace, is going to showcase more global activities. you. Okay, next we have a performance by the Zapp brothers, Steve and Jeff Satt.
So this song is going to be a little bit raucous, and it's one of those, I think maybe standing might be a great way to kind of participate in this song at best. So if we could all maybe stand, that would be good. And just kind of loosen it up a little. All right.
Yeah, you might want to do some dancing.
And dancing, clapping, and singing joyous expressions are always encouraged. So one of the things that we do in this community is we have events like this. So we have action, and then after that, we usually reflect on what we might have done. So there's a process of action and reflection that basically informs our activity. So we do something and go, oh, okay, well that was good, and maybe we do something different. So action and reflection. So we're going to start with a little bit of a community enterprise here. And so over here on this side, you guys are the action side, okay? So let's hear you say action. Okay, now over on this side, you guys are reflection. Let's hear you guys say reflection. All right, now in the middle, oh yeah, that's right, it's right down the middle. Okay, so let's over action, reflection. Okay, so there's a bit of a rhythm here, so it's going action, reflection. So actually with me, so action, reflection, action, reflection, action, reflection, that's it. Action, reflection, that's it. Action, reflection, action, reflection, action, reflection, action, reflection. Keep going, yeah, come on. Reflection, action, here we go. A spiritual community, transformation of society. A spiritual material transformation of society. A spiritual enterprise. Please open up your eyes. Without a doubt, this plan is simply divine. It's simply divine. The focus of this plan, developing capacity. Just as important, applying this capacity. How the Institute aids in this pursuit. I'm telling you now, this plan is simply divine. It's simply divine. It's simply divine. Oh, this plan is divine. How far we've come, this vision's an unfolding one. The goals we've won tell me that we're far from done. But we've the remedy for the needs of society, all prosperity. So this comes down to you and me. We're all conscious of material forces, eyes wide open to all this injustice. We have faith, now we all trust this. In unity there's power, humanity's got this. Ooh, 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 everyone now. Couple more. Oh, yeah. Bring it down. A calling to all well-wishers of humanity. Crying off the spiritual reality. Oh, it's simply divine. It's simply divine. It's simply divine. Oh, this plan is divine. It's simply divine. It's simply divine. Here we go. It's simply divine. Oh, this plan is divine.
Wow, thank you. I think we're all feeling a little bit more motivated now. At this time, I'll ask a representative from each of the breakout groups to come up and share what transpired in their groups. And we'll first begin with Graham and Ann.
Hello.
So what are we supposed to do again? We chatted. We've been doing we were doing sort of concept mapping, working on our spelling, and so we were doing stuff like where's the first one? Save that one for later.
Actually, no, that's
This
not
is
first.
the first one here, I
This
think.
is the first one here. No, that's not.
That was some challenges that we sort of. Okay, don't worry, we got it figured out now. All right. Don't worry about that one. All right, so we were sort of concept mapping some of the things that we thought were challenging. First of all, in our community, we're geographically remote, but we're also our community is insulated in other ways, and we are identifying that, and that there's a lot of fears around change and growth, and that we have to try and overcome, but it's going to come whether we're ready or not. So we talked about how we can maybe support that and make it easier, and what else? That's enough for that. So then we said that's too depressing. Let's talk about what we can do. Like some action. So then we got another piece of paper.
There was one about vision.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Action, vision. Vision. Okay. Vision. All right. So then we talked about things we wanted to celebrate. How we talked about unity and diversity and equality between men and women, and creating island-wide meetings and island-based projects or service projects. And then we got talking about the summer school. Remember how many people we wanted to know how many in this room were alumni of the Grand Manan, the Doris Richardson Summer School. Could you stand up for us? Just give us parents or children who went to that summer school on Grand Manan. Yeah, it's got a special place in our hearts on Grand Manan, as I know it does for you people that have been there. And we thought, we listened to the other communities, especially Fredericton, talk about the work that they're doing with children, and we were so enamored by what they've been doing, and we missed the time when we had the children around us. And we were hoping that we thought, well, maybe this would be a great opportunity for the summer school to return. So we've been talking about that. In terms of action, we want to look at how we can make that happen. It's going to be an evolution. It'll probably start small, but we would love to have these experts that you all are come and show us how to do what you do. And we have beautiful scenery, and it's quiet, and it'd be an opportunity for us it would create an event that we could invite our people to, and then maybe have spin-offs come from that. That was kind of the things that we were thinking about. So.
Thank you. Next up, a representative from the St. John Breakout Group.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. So great to be here. So we broke out and we were looking at some of the questions that were involved, and we started talking about, well, what can we do as individuals for the betterment of society? So we kind of went around in the circle, and there were a couple of really great points, and one of the great points that I thought was small things. Some big things are great, but small acts sometimes can resonate and amplify and carry on and gather momentum. So I think if we're thinking about things that we can do, we don't always have to think about writing a song or a play or whatever. It can be a small act of kindness or something that can impact somebody's heart. And I think that was another thing we talked about, is it starts in the heart, and it's where that's where we go. These are heart-to-heart experiences that we're having with people, as opposed to, I guess, passing out a pamphlet or, here's the website you can go to. And that eventually can happen, but ultimately these personal connections are the ones that are deeper. And I think I had something else, but it's gone right now. So good cue for somebody else to talk, I think.
Well, actually, right up to the mic. Okay, sorry. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Sometimes I can't speak loud enough for everybody. Anyways, we got to telling stories, which I have a great aptitude for. But I wanted to share one particularly maybe that gave me a great sense, not only of privilege, but of I felt honored by. I recently moved into St. John, and I live in Carlton Kirk, just over on Duke Street. 75 apartments in the apartment block. And everybody there knew that the girl from Grand Manan was coming long before I got there. And I have I didn't announce it myself. And anyways, so when I moved in October, I spent some time thinking about this because I have a name. And so I decided that I would I made 27 individual Christmas cards before Christmas to share with the people that lived on my floor, wishing them Merry Christmas. After all, Christ was a manifestation no different than Baha'u'llah. So I did. And I was quite amazed because over the following several weeks, every day there was 1 or 2 cards posted to my door. And I said, from Betty Swainson, room 210. And so the following year, I said, well, okay, that's a beginning. I did make, I think, on the average, 57 individual Christmas cards then for my floor and the floor above. And so, but this time, I typed down on a piece of paper the prayer that begins, "Oh God, refresh and gladden my spirit." Because after all, we had just learned that what the world needs most is hope. So I contemplated, how can I give hope to 75 apartments? So I typed that out. I didn't put any name of Baha'u'llah or that it was a Baha'i prayer on anything. And I just typed it in and I put it in each card and wrote on the card, "A little gift for you. I hope it brings you some joy." Well, that was in December. In May this year, a lady stopped me. She actually lives above me. And she said, "You know that Christmas card you sent? That little piece of paper? I read that every day." I didn't say it was a prayer. I didn't change her opinion of it of any way. But it obviously affected her heart somehow. That was one thing. Little things, right? Thank you for listening.
Well, that concludes the St. John presentation.
Thank you, St. John. Next up, Fredericton.
Okay, well, we had a really lovely gathering as well, and lots of great discussion. And I didn't catch the name of the people who were Zooming in. Did anyone tell me? And where are they from? And they moved to Fredericton? Oh. Wowzers. That was awesome. Anyway, it was great to have them. It was really, really, that's a great thing. Anyway, so yeah, like lots of little themes kind of emerged from our discussions. We talked a lot about like the idea of the puzzle and how each of us is like a piece, right? An important piece of the puzzle. And in this whole community building, right? And the idea of a protagonist. And we actually had to talk about what that means, right? So an active participant who moves things forward, right? So we are each a protagonist, and that became kind of a little bit of a focus at the beginning. So I'll take over. We'll just fill in the blanks.
Yeah, we'll fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me? Yeah.
And this is Nikki, by the way. Nikki.
Thanks. So just to follow up on what Jeff said, we talked a lot about building communities and ensuring that we are connecting with each other across all faiths and not just focus on our own well-being, but thinking outside of ourselves. So being less selfish and more inclusive as much as we can. Let's see. Another thing is, in terms of building consultation, it's very important to engage the community with anything that we'd like to change or anything we'd like to improve. Nothing changes in ourselves. It has to be with everyone at this table at the same time, having the same discussions.
Yeah, and then letting it grow organically,
yeah.
because if you're, especially if you're working in a population to like maybe a new community that you may not be very familiar with, but it's just to get to know the people and to let the ideas come forward naturally from that population, right. And how like remembering that everybody's a protagonist and we can all have input. So
yeah, we are all together, sharing our stories together at the same time, and not to impose our own views on everybody else, but to be as inclusive as possible. At the end of our discussion, we were tasked with an art project.
Yeah.
So our group did bookmarks as creative or not, depending on what your level is. So we could ask everybody that was with our group to show their bookmarks if you were able to finish them.
Oh, and we were also encouraged to gift it to somebody. So
yes.
That was like another way of like looking beyond ourselves and gifting it to everybody. So yeah, beautiful. Yeah, stick them up in the air, everybody. If you got them. Nice little ribbons, those sparkly. Yeah, beautiful.
We talked about how there are some strengths, like certain community hubs where we've had activities in the past, or even one of our participants was sharing that even a space like a gas station can be a community hub if the regulars come in and you get to know them and really hear what's on their minds. So that was something we identified as a strength. And then in terms of aspirations, we sort of talked about how there's so many common things that people seem to want, like wanting to leave a better world for the next generation, wanting to pursue education, a lot of environmental aspirations, I guess, trying to make our world healthier and more sustainable. And one thing that we talked about was how sometimes we have like individuals or groups who are all trying to pursue these things, but they're not necessarily working together. So that was something that we noticed. And I'm going to hand it off to Savannah for our second question.
So for the second question, it said what... For the second question, we had what aspects of the teachings of Baha'u'llah resonate with the aspirations of your community? And we talked a little bit like we talked about like unity and how everyone is connected, and the capacity of each individual in the advancement of society materially and spiritually, which relates to poverty and the different aspects of that. And
So the third question that we addressed was, how is this vision of Baha'u'llah for humanity unfolding in your area? And what contribution can each of us make for the betterment of society? So we just listed a few kind of core activities and things we could do in our own communities. First one here is organizing spaces for friends to talk about community, building and for community building and sharing inspiring art and prayers. Weekly get-togethers in Dune Street was an example of an activity we have going on in Fredericton, or we hope to pursue. Organizing service projects, organizing trust-building activities. So we kind of emphasize the importance of creating those meaningful friendships in the communities that we're working with as a solid foundation for the service activities and gatherings and things like that to be able to move forward. So whether that be through inviting them to conferences like this one or to our weekly devotionals or things like that. Children's classes, study circles, and the Junior Youth Empowerment Program was also named. And I think a few of the people living in St. John that I got the chance to meet for the first time said that they had been part of some JY groups years and years ago, and they were really excited about maybe having that make a comeback sometime soon. So that was inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you, very inspiring. And the representative for the group for the children.
Yeah? Okay. So we concentrated our discussion on community and community building, and they each talked about different aspects that contribute to building communities in their worlds. So they're each going to talk about, I believe, what they think a good contribution to community is. So, Isabella, did you want to start us off? Renee, you want to start us off? So show us what you drew and then tell us about it.
I drew a soccer field because that's being sportive, and sometimes being sportive means you make friends. Sometimes when you're playing soccer, you can make new friends, but by accident, you can kick other people's legs. By accident.
I did two people playing soccer and the medicine. Yeah, we did the medicine wheel for the roads, but I did two people playing soccer, and I wrote join a team because if you join a team, you are helping others learn something.
Do you want to tell us about the apple tree, Lua? Why do we draw an apple tree? You want to tell us? Are you making food for your community with the apple tree? And helping the planet? Yeah? Okay. Saji, do you want to tell us a little bit about the whole design?
The roads lead to the heart, and the heart is coming together.
Everybody.
Everybody coming together to create peace.
Mira? Huh? Okay. And Mira drew a beautiful garden. And so why did we draw a garden again? Why did you draw a garden? You can make food, and you can do it together with friends and family, and it builds community, and it helps our carbon footprint when we do it ourselves. And Isabella?
I drew a picture of the SPCA because I love animals, and animals can be a part of our community.
And we also drew houses for the homeless, like to show like building houses, and that's a need, and all the supplies that they would need to live too, just like any human being. Go ahead.
And then we drew something about picking up trash because when we pick up trash, it helps our earth, and so it's a lot prettier.
Thank you.
Amazing, thank you. And was there a representative for the junior youth group as well?
So it was a pleasure working with these boys. We fortunately had people from different places, so it was also nice to see what they thought about their communities and such, but I'm going to let them do most of the talking. So, Tevya, you start? Okay, get right up to it.
We basically...
Yeah.
We read the quotes on the back of the sheet, and we talked about how important consultation is in decision making for a community's growth.
And then, no, these are just little point forms, so they each remember what they're talking about.
Thank you. So we played a game where we got a piece of yarn and we threw it to other people who still held on to yarn, so it like made a web. And every time we had that ball of yarn, we had to say something that would help the community, like growing plants or picking up garbage, talking to people, giving compliments or stuff. And if one person, like if they're excluded and like if they're excluded from it, then they'll lose their pieces of the web, and it'll destroy the web, and then it makes it so like then everybody's unhappy. But when one person is really happy and like does more good things for the community, it can make other people happy, and then everybody wants to join in on the web. Sorry. And when the web is big enough, it can add even more people, and the bigger the web gets, and it has more and more people, it grows.
We also talked about having a vibrant community and why it matters to have a diverse and like clean and healthy community web. And it matters like because what Oliver said, if everyone's included, then no one's unhappy and the web is strong, and so the community is good and vibrant.
So the last thing we did was we made origami, and we had people. These two help us make them, and to show how much help people can have. And if someone made a mistake, they didn't get mad or make fun of us. They just showed us how to do it correctly.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. I believe that there are also other artistic presentations that have been prepared in advance that we'll now ask for them to be presented. So for clarity, it's music by Jasmine and Liam.
So how well do you guys remember this song from this morning? We thought we could sing it again, because, yeah. And then we'll sing some other songs after that. So I think everybody has a little lyric book. So this one's right on the front. No, he's plugged in. I was just trying to move it out of the way. And then I created a problem. Yeah. I can hear it. Yeah. Let this gathering be a foreshadowing of what will in very truth take place in this world when every child of God realizes that they are the leaves of one tree, flowers in one garden, the sons and daughters of one Father, whose name is love, whose name is love, whose name is love, whose name is love. Let this gathering be a foreshadowing of what will in very truth take place in this world when every child of God realizes that they are the leaves of one tree, flowers in one garden, the sons and daughters of one Father, whose name is love, whose name is love, whose name is love, whose name is love. This one? One is written by a group of youth in the Yukon. Yeah, it goes like this. When a drop draws help from the ocean, ocean itself, and the little seed through the outpouring of rain, the favor of the sun, and the soul refreshing breeze will become a tree, will become a tree, with the utmost freshness, full of leaves, blossoms, and fruits. Therefore do not consider thy merit or thy capacity, but rely upon the infinite bounty, and trust and trust and trust, and trust and trust and trust, and trust and trust and trust to His Highness the Almighty. Let's do it again. Feel free to sing along. When a drop draws help from the ocean. I'm playing an F, Jeff. It is an ocean, itself is an ocean itself. And the little seed through the outpouring of rain, the favor of the sun, and the soul refreshing breeze will become a tree, will become a tree, with the utmost freshness, full of leaves, blossoms, and fruits. Therefore do not consider thy merit or thy capacity, but rely upon the infinite bounty, and trust and trust and trust, and trust and trust and trust, and trust and trust and trust to His Highness the Almighty. Thanks. So this song is in French. So I should mention the last two songs are based on words by Abdul Baha. This one, I believe, is based on the words of Baha'u'llah. I don't know who wrote this song, but I think I learned it from Alana. So it's a little bit fast, but we'll try to slow it down a bit. So it goes, the words are, vous avez été créés pour vous aimer l'un l'autre. So it goes like this. Vous avez été créés pour vous aimer l'un l'autre. Vous aimez l'un l'autre. Do you want to try it? We'll do like a call and answer style. Vous avez été créés pour vous aimer l'un l'autre. Vous aimez l'un l'autre. Your turn. Vous avez été créés pour vous aimer l'un l'autre. Vous aimez l'un l'autre. We'll do that a few more times just to get the hang of it. Vous avez été créés pour vous aimer l'un l'autre. Vous aimez l'un l'autre. Vous avez été créés pour vous aimer l'un l'autre. Vous aimez l'un l'autre. Here's the second part. Béni est celui qui préfère son frère à lui-même. Oh, oh, oh. Béni est celui qui préfère son frère à lui-même. Oh, oh, oh. Let's do that part again. Béni est celui qui préfère son frère à lui-même. Oh, oh, oh. Béni est celui qui préfère son frère à lui-même. Oh, oh, oh. Awesome. Okay, let's do the whole thing. été créés pour vous aimer l'un l'autre. Vous aimer l'un l'autre. Vous avez été créés pour vous aimer l'un l'autre. Vous aimer l'un l'autre. Béni est celui qui préfère son frère à lui-même. Oh, oh, oh. Béni est celui qui préfère son frère à lui-même. Oh, oh, oh. Béni est celui qui préfère son frère à lui-même. Oh, oh, oh. Béni est celui qui préfère son frère à lui-même. Oh, oh, oh. Vous avez été créés pour vous aimer l'un l'autre. Vous aimez l'un l'autre. Vous avez été créés pour vous aimer l'un l'autre. Vous aimez l'un l'autre. Béni est celui qui préfère son frère à lui-même. Oh, oh, oh. Béni est celui qui préfère son frère à lui-même. Oh, oh, oh. Béni est celui qui préfère son frère à lui-même. Oh, oh, oh. Béni est celui qui préfère son frère à lui-même. Oh, oh, oh. Woo! Oh, friend. That would be awesome if you can do that. Okay, this last song was written at the Atlantic Baha'i Summer School in 2019, I think. And I don't know about the rest of the region, but on PEI we sang it a whole lot after that. So it's really simple. It's good if you can get like a good little beat going, like a one leg, both legs, one leg, both legs kind of thing. Actually, let's go a little faster. Oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, in the garden of thy heart plant not but the rose of love, the rose of love. Oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, in the garden of thy heart plant not but the rose of love, the rose of love. And from the nightingale of affection and desire, loosen not thy hold, loosen not thy hold. And from the nightingale of affection and desire, loosen not thy hold, loosen not thy hold, loosen not thy hold. Oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, in the garden of thy heart plant not but the rose of love, the rose of love. Oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, in the garden of thy heart plant not but the rose of love, the rose of love. And from the nightingale of affection and desire, loosen not thy hold, loosen not thy hold. And from the nightingale of affection and desire, loosen not thy hold, loosen not thy hold, loosen not thy hold. Oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, in the garden of thy heart plant not but the rose of love, the rose of love. Oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, oh friend, in the garden of thy heart plant not but the rose of love, the rose of love. And from the nightingale of affection and desire, loosen not thy hold, loosen not thy hold. And from the nightingale of affection and desire, loosen not thy hold, loosen not thy hold, loosen not thy hold. Thanks for singing along, everybody.
Do you want to say a prayer? Right now or a little bit later? Renee wants to say a prayer right now. All right. You want to do that one? No, it's not. Do this one.
Maybe I'll do both.
You want both at the same time? Yeah, do some stereo. Go ahead. Just talk really loud. Go ahead.
God is sufficient unto me. He verily is the also why I sing. In him let thee trust. Allahumma ya so pu, ya so du, ya hanama, ya hana. Farij kanama, fasre anasam, enigana manumana, enigana manumana. Allah wapa, Allah wapa, Allah wapa. Oh God, guide me, protect me, illumine the lamp of my heart, and make of me a brilliant star. Thou art in my teeth and the powerful.
Well, yeah, the future looks bright. Not so many people like me shy to speak in front of others. Well, that was just an amazing afternoon. Far surpassed anything I was expecting and hoping for. So thank you everyone for sharing and presenting your gifts and your thoughts and the fruits of your consultations. Just before I have some things prepared, but I was thinking as I was sitting there that when I was fortunate to be raised in a Baha'i family, and one thing my mother used to say a lot, I didn't really understand too much what it meant, but we would talk about like the purpose of life and little things around the dinner table like that, and and she would say like when we get into those heavier conversations, she'd say like you were created, Baha'u'llah says, or maybe Shoghi Effendi, or I can't really remember right now. You were created to carry forward an ever-advancing civilization. I'm sure some of you are very familiar with that. You've heard it a lot. I think we're just really starting as a Baha'i community to go from that being kind of a abstract theory about the purpose of our lives to what it looks like in real practice, like what it looks like day to day to be created to carry forward an ever-advancing civilization. Just a thought I was having as we were sitting here today. So again, I just want to thank everybody for coming and participating. I mentioned that there might be a little quiz this afternoon, so just was wondering if anybody, some people are taking notes, but you will recall that Alana had shared kind of these 4 ideas about how we go about taking steps to create this ever-advancing civilization, or using more current language, I suppose, to participate in community-building activities to make this world a better place. And I think really by the fact that you're all here today, that you've been taking time out of your busy lives to make this a priority, to participate in the activities and to share, you've demonstrated all of those things that Alana mentioned were kind of prerequisites for building communities, right? If you think about it, the belief that we can make this world a better place, that you're willing to make an effort alongside of your friends and neighbors of diverse backgrounds to help build these more vibrant communities, and I think also a willingness to rely on higher powers for support in this endeavor. I feel like that's really been crystallized here today. So this, the last little thing I wanted to say is to let you know that this conference is not the last of its kind. There's, as we said at the beginning, there's this series of global conferences taking place in countries around the world. And in some places like like this part of the world and in our communities, we're not just having one global conference, we're going to have, we think, probably 2 or maybe 3, where we're going over and we're building on the themes that we started talking about today. So this is in some ways a start of a series of conferences for in our clusters, in our neighborhoods, in our communities. So I just want you to keep that in mind, that you're going to be hearing in the weeks ahead about some more gatherings that we would love you to come to, and also invite even more of your friends that you would think would benefit from being in a space like this. And also to think back on some of the discussions that you had in your groups, the plans that were made. We talked about some simple steps, and really try to implement those in the days ahead, and to learn from them, so that the next time we get together, those can be the stories that we're sharing with each other, and again, learning together about. So that is all I wanted to share with you. There's lots of people to thank, but I'm going to leave that up to Ima. She probably has prepared a more thorough list. But before I give it over to her, I just want to thank her, because she did an amazing job today. There's been a lot of last-minute changes to the program, and she's been so flexible and just has done a wonderful job. So thank you, Ima, and we'll let you close it.
Thank you, Judah. I was very thrilled to assist today and to serve in this capacity. A special thank you to the communities of St. John, Fredericton, Graham, and Ann, who've assisted with the organization of this conference and the planning process as well. The members of the organizing committee, our facilitators who've assisted today, and as well as the St. John Art Center as well, again, for the opportunity to be able to host this conference here in this venue. And thank you again for everyone who's traveled from afar to attend here in person, and those who've joined us virtually as well. We hope that you've all enjoyed the conference today and leave feeling inspired. So again, thank you, safe travels, and as Judah said, stay tuned for details of our future gatherings as well. So thank you again.